Hi, my name is Kyle, and I want to tell you how I made $60 million when I was just 12 years old. I was born in a really wealthy family. My dad was a successful businessman, and my mom was his head accountant. They were both hardworking people and taught me since I was a child the value of money. Though we lived in a nice house and had good clothes, cars, and furniture, we didn't live lavishly. It was important to them that I understood that luxury was something that was earned and that showing off our money wasn't right. Ever since I was a little kid, I was expected to earn my own allowance. If I wanted new toys, new clothes, or anything else, I had to actually work for it. Now, my parents weren't irrational or cruel. They had money, so of course, they bought me nice things and paid for the best possible education. But they expected me to make an effort, so I understood nothing in life comes free. So, for example, I had to set the table when I was a little boy and put away my clothes after they were cleaned. I had to make sure to put my toys away after I was done playing with them. Basically, they taught me responsibility and accountability since I was a kid. I was also expected to keep my word when I promised something and study hard. I would have consequences if I got a bad grade at school or if I misbehaved. They never quite treated me like a child, but rather like a small adult that needed guidance. They taught me lessons and guided me, but didn't scold or ground me. Instead, they showed me the consequences of behaving badly or not making a real effort. If I didn't get good grades, they treated me as if I was an employee who wasn't doing their job right. They lowered my allowance, they didn't buy me new clothes or new toys I requested, and I'd be explained why I was being admonished. It might sound a bit harsh, but my parents were also really loving. They supported me completely and helped me mature at a really young age. They gave me the freedom to be myself and at the same time, the support I needed as a kid. When I was 10, my dad told me that I would begin working at his company. Of course, I was given small tasks that I could handle. My dad wanted to teach me the ropes of the trade, and he believed that the only way for me to learn was to actually be there. So every day I spent a few hours at his company after school. I loved it. It was really fascinating, and there were so many interesting people to talk to. I would run a few errands and shadow different workers every day. Some people might think it was too much responsibility for a kid, but to me it was amazing. I loved going there, and I learned so much. I felt like I was being taught even more than schools could ever offer. That didn't mean I didn't study hard as well. My parents would never allow me to slack on my studies. By the time I was 12, I was already handling new tasks, and I knew my way around the company. All the employees knew me, and they were happy to see me when I arrived. I was an inquisitive kid, so I asked questions about what they did, how they did it, and how I could do it. I wanted to learn everything I could and discover my true calling. I still didn't know what I wanted to be when I was an adult, but I was determined to discover it. I was saving up my money and spending as little as possible. So my dad asked what I was trying to buy. I explained that I wanted to go on a vacation to an amazing place I had read a lot about after studying about it in geography class. He wanted to know more about it, so I began telling him all about Dubai and why I wanted to visit. I talked and talked about the beaches, the cities, the culture. I know this might sound odd for a young kid, but I remember the way I was raised. I was never treated like a child, so by 12, I was really mature. My dad praised me for my enthusiasm. He told me it was great that I had a dream and was working hard to achieve it. He made a deal with me. Dad told me that if I got straight A's for the rest of the semester and worked hard at his company, he'd buy me the plane tickets and match whatever I managed to save up. I was so excited. My dad was showing me, as usual, that good things come to those who worked hard and made an effort. So I agreed and applied myself even more than I had until then. I studied really hard and got only A's in all my exams. I also worked more hours weekly at Dad's company. My father was so proud of me when the holiday season arrived that he didn't only match my savings, but doubled them. He told me I should use them to have the best vacations ever, and that I had earned every last penny. Of course, all the hard work made the trip even better because I knew I had earned it. My mom and dad came with me, of course, since I was underage, but they gave me a lot of freedom to do things on my own. One day, I decided I wanted to visit an exclusive private beach in Dubai that I had heard great things about. It was really expensive, but I didn't care. It was my dream vacation, and I was going to enjoy it as much as I could. It would turn out to be the luckiest decision of my life. The beach was really stunning. I had never seen seawater so clear. The sands were white and smooth. It was beautiful. I took a swim and sunbathed, enjoyed the day out. Eventually, I decided I wanted to go take a walk. About 15 minutes after beginning strolling about the beach, I felt something odd beneath my feet. I was always naturally curious and adventurous. Dad had encouraged these traits, so I didn't even doubt. I began exploring further immediately. I began digging. There was something down there, and it looked like some kind of odd chest. It took me a long time to actually get it off the ground, as it was really stuck underneath the sand. It was this massive chest. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. It looked like something that people found in adventure movies, not in real life. I was fascinated by the chest and wondered who might have left it behind there, buried in the middle of an exclusive beach in Dubai. At first, I thought it was probably empty because no one would be silly enough to leave a treasure chest filled with goods on a beach, no matter how well they hid it. But it was too heavy to be empty, so I began wondering, could it be that I had really just discovered a hidden treasure? The chest wasn't locked, but it was really stuck. I had to struggle for several minutes to get it open. It was so hard that I almost gave up and walked away. Something told me not to quit so fast. I trusted my gut instinct and kept on struggling until finally, the chest opened up before my very eyes. I couldn't believe what I was looking at. The chest was absolutely filled with $100 bill stacks, one over the other. There were so many just sitting there, waiting to be taken. Of course, my first thought was that it was all fake. The money had to be counterfeit or some kind of silly joke. Surely someone placed it there to mess up with whoever found it. I would get all excited and then realize it was Monopoly money or something like that. I didn't want to be fooled, but I couldn't help but being hopeful that the treasure could actually be real. So I began examining the bills, and to my surprise, they really did look absolutely real. I could barely think straight. My heart was rushing, and I was trying to figure out what to do next. I couldn't just carry the chest back to my hotel room. People would notice immediately, and my mom and dad would ask about it. I asked myself if my dad would tell me I had to give the money back, search for the original owner, or maybe even call the police. I couldn't lose my treasure. So I decided I needed to be quick if I wanted to avoid my parents discovering what I had found on the beach. I hid the chest beneath the sand once more, but didn't bury it as deep as it had been before. I rushed back to my hotel room and grabbed the duffel bag. Running back to the beach, I immediately located the place I had left the chest at. No one was around now either, so I could dig it out again without anyone realizing what I was doing. I filled the bag with every single dollar in that chest. There were so many. I couldn't stop and count them right then and there. It would take too long. I was so curious, so it was hard closing the bag and walking back to the hotel. The following 2 days of the trip were a nightmare. I had to pretend to be excited about everything still left to do. If I suddenly looked eager to return home, Dad would know there was something wrong. I was so anxious to lock myself in my room and finally know how much money I had found. You can't even imagine how nervous I was on the trip back home. I wondered if someone would notice what I was carrying in the bag. Would I get in trouble if they did? Would they believe my story or think I was committing a crime? Fortunately, no one asked me any questions or even gave the duffel bag a second look. I got home and immediately rushed into my room, locking the door behind me. It took me forever to count all the money in the bag. It was amazing how much there was. When I was finally finished, I realized I had over $60 million. I was a literal multi-millionaire, and I was only 12 years old. My life had completely changed thanks to that amazing trip and my decision to take a walk on the beach. I never told my mom and dad about any of it. I pretended everything was normal and hid the money using only what I needed. When I was old enough, I invested most of the money. I didn't want to just blow it away in silly luxuries. I wanted to invest them and work hard to make an even bigger profit from it, just as my father had taught me. Mom and Dad will never know how I got to be one of the richest men in the country, and I can never tell them the truth. They are proud of me, and I donate a part of my profits every year. I think it's the least I can do. I was incredibly lucky, so I need to help those who aren't as fortunate. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and check out the other videos on the channel.